So hello everyone, welcome to Washington as we go live to speak to the rock star who is Joel Cartner. He is playing behind me right now in the Washington State Arena. And let me just give you a little bit more about him. He's a lawyer, a public policy professional living in Washington, D.C. He also is an awareness tie ambassador, official advisor, columnist, and grants director. So I give you today's Unplugged superstar, Joel Cartner. Now, we had a couple of takes of this, I'll be honest with everyone, but we got through it. So Joel, thank you very much for having the patience with me. So Joel, how are you doing?
Pretty well, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm going to take these off because they're kind of in my way, as we're going to get seriously unplugged with you. So I wonder, could you give us a little bit more of a background about who you are? I'll set the scene, so if you can jump in a little bit more detail.
Okay, so I am 26 years old. I got my BA from UNC Wilmington, my law degree from Quinnipiac University School of Law, which is up in Connecticut, for those of you that haven't ever heard of it, because that's most people. I moved to DC in October of 2019, so, you know, right there at the beginning of the pandemic. That was fun. And I've just been kind of living it out ever since.
Perfect. And I know, because we talked, you're still at work, aren't you?
I just got off work, yeah.
This is what you call commitment, my friend. So, to really get into about you, we're going to now do our Unplugged section where I'm going to ask you some random questions about you so that we can really see who the rock star Joel is. So I'm going to pull in my magical. Here we go. Look at that. Hey, look, rocks as well. So let's have a little go. Okay. Are you feeling lucky, Joel?
I am.
Let's not lose all the balls, because that would be rather upsetting. Okay, we've got some here. Let's roll. You ready? So, number 26. Here we go. If you could be a circus performer, which act would you be?
Oh, jeez. I haven't been in a circus years. Probably an animal tamer, I think, maybe. I'm a dog guy.
Yeah, look, but
obviously they use like tigers, but still.
I picture you with a chair and a whip as we speak, so that's good. Good call. Okay, so let's move on to our next number, which is number 11. Let's see what number 11 has in store for you. How would you like to be remembered?
Oh, boy. I think I want to be remembered as someone who was kind and who, like, I want to have done something of substance. I think, I don't know what that something is. Like, I think that's probably remains to be seen. But yeah, someone that was kind and helpful and did something for the betterment of the world.
Well, knowing you, and you're an exceptionally humble man, I know that you do a lot of very kind things, and I think that's a really nice thing to be remembered for, because why not? That's why we're here. It's to help others and be kind. So a great answer. Thank you very much. I like that. Now we're going to take you further into your comfort zone, or perceptive is everything. Number 15. So what have we got for number 15? What is one thing you could never be apart from?
Jeez. Probably books, I think. Books or music, one of the two. Possibly both.
Well, to be honest, you know, they're evergreen. They always have something else each time, and so I agree. Good, you're doing really well. I'm gonna have to give you a special because you're doing so well. There we are. We're doing well. So we're going to move on. Not everyone gets the double ding. So number 30. Here we go. What was the last song you downloaded, listened to, or added to your playlist?
I know the last one I listened to was Undertow by Sarah Bareilles.
Cool. Guys, you're working up to your next ding. You know. I know. Let's crack on with just one more, and then unless you ask for more, we'll do just that one there. Where do you stand on is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I think I forget what the word is, but it's a word that basically means when the consensus from everyone else has arisen to make something mean something else, that's what that thing means. And I think that we've reached that point, really, because I've only ever seen Die Hard it's not one of those things that are returned to over and over again. So I'm very much willing to let the people that really have feelings about this say, like, if you believe it's a Christmas movie, good for you. It's a Christmas movie. Have at it. Be happy.
I think that's a brilliant place to stand on that debate. And yes, beautifully done. Now I can see why you have your law degree. I can see now where it's coming. Very, very diplomatic between the issues there. Well done. So now we're gonna do one more because you're doing too well. Let's do one more, and then let's have a look because we're having fun. Number 46. Let's see what number 46 gives you because you've done so well. What celebrity do you get mistaken for?
I don't really. The one thing that I can say on the subject is when I was in high school, there was this icebreaker thing we had to do. So I ran my, at the time, Facebook profile picture through like a facial recognition thing. It was like, here's your person. And it's the guy from Smallville, like the lead guy who plays Clark Kent on Smallville. I don't know who he is. I've only ever seen him in the one thing.
We all have that picture in your mind, and I mean, I suspect if you stood up and we did the old shirt thing, there'd be the S. Your secret is safe with us, and we have never seen you and the S person.
Never.
Yeah, an AwareNow exclusive. We have Mr. Joel. So let's move on to the sort of the more gentle parts of what we're doing. So Awareness Now, Awareness Ties. What brought you to Awareness Ties? What's your journey to get there?
So that's a weird winding story that I know that you've heard before, but they haven't. So volleyball as a sport was like, from a very young age, like that was my first love in terms of sports. And when I was a little bit older, but still fairly young, I happened to watch the NCAA finals match between USC and UC Irvine. This was back in like 2009, maybe. One of the players playing in that match was a man named Troy Bourne, who those of you that follow Awareness Ties know he's our ambassador for invisible disabilities. So after watching that match, I kind of followed the various players throughout their careers and wind up being very familiar with Troy's story and hearing him on his podcast talk about how he was partnering with Awareness Ties to be their ambassador for invisible disabilities. I, being a 23-year-old, at the time, third-year law student, looked them up, really loved what they were doing. At the time, we were a much smaller outfit than we are now. And I just emailed Ellie and Jack and said, hey, I'm about to graduate from law school. If there's any, like, this is kind of who I am. If there's anything I can do to be helpful, let me know. Not really, honestly, expecting a response back, but they actually did respond and say, that's great. We'll let you know if we need anything. And then I didn't hear from them for a while. Cut to about a year later, everything that happened with George Floyd happened. And it can happen that when I get particularly angry, scared, some combination thereof, I start to write things. And so I ended up, just to get it out of my head, because the other thing that I saw was this tweet that was something to the effect of 50% of the people that get murdered by police also have disabilities. And so everything that was happening kind of coalesced, and I started writing this basically policy white paper just to get it out of my head. That was like, here's where this all stands, and here's all the data and the systemic factors that lead to these things. And then I started thinking about it, and it's like, well, you have two disabilities. You have spastic diplegia and retinopathy prematurity. Like, if anybody can speak to this, you can't speak to the racial stuff, but you can speak to having a disability and living this life. So I ended up writing it all down, putting it in a slightly more narrative lens. And I sent it to Ali and Jack just as like hey, I know this is the kind of stuff you guys like to dig into, so here's this thing. And then lo and behold, they loved it. Like, I was not expecting, it was just kind of gonna be one of those, I wrote this, here, have it. So they come back to me and they're like, well, we want you to be an official ambassador, and we would also love you to have a monthly column. So 25-year-old me's mind is blown. And the rest is kind of history ever since.
That's such a... They're the right reasons to want to get involved in something, because you obviously had the passion to and then that came through, as does it with your monthly column. So I think you're being remembered for kindness. I think you're well on your way for that. So yeah, I can see where this is going. So what does the word awareness mean to you?
So aware to me means the ability to be seen for who you are as the entire person. So I'm not just a lawyer, I'm not just someone with a disability, I'm an entire human being with likes and dislikes and interests and loves and all those things. And like, you can take that and extrapolate it out into groups of people and causes, and just like see the whole picture. Don't just kind of pigeonhole a thing into what it's loudest about.
I think you're right. Seeing the bigger picture, it's so easy to get hung up on job, possessions, things. I am my things, but no, it's not. It's what's inside, really, and the whole package. So I think it's a really good answer of actually being seen, and I think that's really what we are all about. So yeah, great answer. You're going to get another ding if you're not careful. That's really good. Let's go back into a little bit earlier in your life. Has there been a aha unplugged moment or a revelation you can explain or share with us?
There's been a lot. The one I've been gravitating to more recently is actually a more recent example. So when I was so it's from when I was in law school, but to kind of understand it, you need to step back a little farther. I was raised, and this is mom, dad, hi, casting no aspersions and throwing no stones. I was raised to kind of be the happy one. Like, things can suck, but like, your job is to kind of be above it and get through it and just kind of go do your thing. And that kind of led me down a path of self-sufficiency in not always a great way, of like, I don't need other people, I can handle this, which was not always true. So cut to me in law school, and guys, law school's hard for literally anybody, let alone when you're balancing other things, which literally everyone is. So cut to me in law school, and life's kind of beating me up at that point. And I was up for an internship with the Protection and Advocacy Organization in Connecticut, which basically their job is to defend disabled people across all things, workplace stuff, school accommodations, putting in accessible sidewalk, like you name it. Their job is to be the lawyers to represent those issues. And to that point, I had kind of shied away from leaning into the disability of it all. Like, I kind of just wanted to be a guy who lived his life and did other things. But at that point during law school, I was getting friends who were like, yeah, but wait, your life is hard and it's okay to need to break a little bit. And like, we've got you covered. And so as all of that was happening and this internship was percolating, that I wasn't really even sure if I wanted. Like, if I step into this role, am I ever going to be able to step out again? Or am I always going to be the guy that has a disability, you know, is also a disability lawyer? But as friends kept showing me, like, you're still, like, you're a human. I kind of started to realize I can be multiple things at once. And like, this is okay. And it's going to be fun, kind of a thing.
That's a huge lesson, because there are so many people who almost feel fragmented. They have to be one thing here, one thing there, one thing. So to be able to actually to get that feeling, and it's something which we all search for. I'm going to ask you, because I'm an ex-lawyer myself, but I get asked this. So why did you choose law? What drew you to law?
Right. So I never wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to do public policy legislation stuff, and still do. Like, that's the goal. But so to go back to undergrad me, so I decided on the public policy career path at the age of 15. Like, I was sure. And then went to undergrad and did that in 3 years and was just like, we're doing this. So between my second and third years, I got a major fellowship through the state that was basically like, they pick the seven best and brightest students, they farm you out to a state agency, and then they have you doing state and federal advocacy and research. So you're like back and forth between DC and Raleigh, and doing all sorts of crazy stuff that a 20-year-old should not be doing. So in the course of doing those things, I kept running into people in DC who were a little bit older than me, but still fairly young, and they were leaving their jobs. Like, they were staffers for members of Congress, they were low-level lobbyists, like kind of all over the place, and they were all leaving their jobs. And I'm like, guys, you have the dream. Like, why on earth would you let that go? And their answer to me was basically, in this business, at some point, you'll hit a level of qualification where an advanced degree really helps get you up to whatever that next rung is, whether it's a legislative director or a chief of staff or, you know, whatever. Experience is great, but sometimes you need the education to kind of nudge you over. And I felt like, in order to write laws, I should understand how the law actually works, which is not a thing that a lot of DC agrees with me on, apparently, but it was my kind of perception that, you know, maybe I should understand this stuff. And it's been a really useful toolbox. Like, as much as I kind of do spoilers for the article that'll be in the issue that this interview is in, But like, as I've kind of looked back on the last 7 years, I have wondered, has it been worth it? But I think it's a toolbox that I'm really glad that I have, even if it hasn't necessarily immediately produced the results that I would like it to.
Well, we're all on we're not the finished article, so there's plenty of time for that toolkit to really come to it. And from what I see from my position, it's working just fine. So let's move on. And this is going to be fun. What has been, or what is one of your favorite quotes that you can share with us?
Yeah. So I'm cheating and did not memorize this.
That's fine. So, you're a lawyer. You're allowed to do this sort of stuff.
So this is from, it's actually, well, I'll get to that. It's from the end of Ulysses, Tennyson. Though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now, that strength which in old days moved heaven and earth, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
Wow. I think we're just going to let that one soak in and marinate with us there. That's powerful. That's a powerful quote, my friend.
Yeah, I love it a lot.
I love it. And that really is how I see you and how your journey is as well. It's amazing. Really good. No, we're gonna have to find another ding. This is really good. Now, I know everything hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. Is there one sort of setback or failure which you could share how you overcame?
I mean, again, there have been a lot. I think one good example is, so when I was coming out of high school into I was making college applications, and I really wanted to go to NC State. It's the university in North Carolina that's in Raleigh, so I thought it was going to set me up really well. My oldest sister kind of lives in the area. All those wonderful things. It's also probably the second hardest public university to get into in the state. And like, the thing is, I did decently in high school, but I wasn't like, I didn't blow the doors off the place, basically. So anyway, I put all my eggs in this basket and like, this is the dream, this is what's going to happen. And then I didn't get in. And I was, annoyed, whatever, saddened, and ended up going to UNC Wilmington. But I think that probably ended up being better for me than being in Raleigh was. So I'm from a teeny tiny town in not like the full west of North Carolina, but definitely headed more in that direction. Wilmington is on the beach. It's 4 hours away. And then Raleigh is it's directly in the middle. So it's 2 hours from where I grew up. I think if I had gone to NC State, I only would have been 2 hours away from home. Like I said, my oldest sister was kind of in and around the area. So there was that support system. And part of what I wanted to achieve in college was to figure out, can I do this on my own? Because at that point, like, I'm from a small town. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. We have a fairly well-established reputation. It's not to say that people just handed me things, but I was well known. I was a known quantity in that town. And NC State's a big school, don't get me wrong, but people from my hometown do go there. So by going to Wilmington, where not as many people that I graduated from high school with went, being 4 hours away from home, I kind of did get the full, okay, you are actually on your own. And if anything had gone seriously wrong, somebody could have gotten to me. It's not that far away, but kind of pushed me up the nest a little bit. And I think I found more things there than I would have found if I had been closer to where I was.
It's almost like it gave you the room to spread your wings.
Yeah.
because then you are able, and yeah, sometimes the gifts and opportunities rarely come with the sort of the shiny side pointing at us. So I think, yeah, I think actually, yes, it all plays a part of now who you are. So I think, and it's a very good lesson to actually think, well, actually, it's not always what you think, it's actually where then the path takes you instead.
And like, so if I hadn't gone to Wilmington, the way their AP credit system sets out, that's what allowed me to graduate in 3 years. And like, I did exceptionally well there. And like, it created its own specific environment that I don't think would have existed at NC State or somewhere bigger. And it's like, that's why I ended up in all the things that I ended up in. So it all happens for a reason, I think.
Absolutely. And that this is a great explanation and blueprint that you're showing us there. So thank you. Really, really good. Now, being a rock star and it being your acoustic set, what's one of your favorite songs?
So I got this question from you, and I think picking one probably would have killed me. So I can use 3 categories.
It's your stage, my friend. You can throw a couple at me, so no worries.
So the songs that made me fall in love with music are Dormi Issuu, as composed by Mark Sertet, and Shore on the Shining Night, as composed by Renee Clausen. They're both 2 choral pieces. I was classically trained for a very long time. My favorite song to perform ever was this Fauré piece called KNEKT TV. I'm gonna get that horribly wrong. Hold, please.
Hey, yeah, you had me at hello. So
this is the thing with French. So you're like, where does the article go? KNEKT TV Récit. It's the piece. It's a Gabriel Fauré. It's gorgeous. But the song that I come back to over and over again is, again, Sarah Bareilles. It's a song called Gravity from her first album. It's one of those that just kind of hit me at the right time in terms of when I was growing up and hearing it for the first time.
Beautiful. And that's the power of songs right there. So you've given us the whole classically all the way through. So thank you. My goodness, that was a big, wide catchment you brought. That's great stuff. So what are you working on right now?
So I'm kind of in the middle of a lot of different things. With Awareness Ties, I've got the monthly column. I'm doing all sorts of searching for grants and writing grants, and then we're also doing some stuff on the legal side to try and get all that moving. But in terms of things, so I tend to be kind of a backgroundy guy. I don't tend to be a front and center kind of guy. So right now I'm working as a document review attorney, which is as glamorous as it sounds, while I'm job hunting and trying to find something more in the public policy space to kind of get my teeth into and kind of show people like, yes, I have a law degree, but I do actually want to be doing this other thing and I can do it, I promise. So right now, just kind of trying to get my foot in the door there is really what I'm working on. And then there's all the awareness tie stuff that percolates and bubbles at all times.
Well, we wouldn't want to lose you anytime soon. So as much as I'd love for your foot to be fully through the door, I kind of like to be hanging on the back foot as well. So really, really good. And you're not a man who would just take on one project when you can take on 4, 5, or 6.
Oh no, I'm not happy unless I'm working on 6 different things. For sure.
Well, look, Joel, where can we find you? Because people who want to grab hold and find out where you hang out.
Right. So you can find me on Instagram at Joel S. Cartner 14. You can find me on LinkedIn by just looking for my name. Facebook, same. At Awareness Ties, I'm under both the Columnist and the Official Ambassadors tabs. You can find me there. My socials are also linked in those places. I think that about covers it. I don't think I'm anywhere else.
I think we got everything apart from courier pigeon. But I think we got them. I think we got most. And actually, you know, Awareness Ties, if you haven't been inspired, read Joel's column, it's fantastic. You can almost hear his voice. That's how he writes, and it's a really, really good thing. And a big, to have a good organization, you need a good lawyer. So stay on it. So thank you once again, Joel, for sharing your story with us on Unplugged. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, look, guys, Joel has managed to get more than a couple of. So if you guys want to come in and also be unplugged to tell your story and to show what awareness means to you and your cause you're passionate about, then we look forward to seeing you. Thank you once again, Joel, for being a fantastic rock star, and we will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye for now.